say a blessing together in Hebrew or English. I'll just say it with you. You just follow along, or you can just say Amen. And the idea of the blessing is that we go through hard times, we lost our loved ones, but we don't have to hide the grief and the pain on the inside. We should share, and people should be there for us to support us. And the symbol of that is the tearing of the ribbon, the clothing on the outside. And we say the blessing, and the theme of the blessing is that God is a true judge, that times like this test our faith, test us in many ways, and we try to show strength and faith and trust at the same time. Okay. So we'll say Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Dayan Ha-Emes. Blessed are you, O Lord, King of the universe, who is a true judge. Amen. And you just take your fingers and you make a little prayer. Okay, very good. Okay, folks, we're going to get started now. If people want to take their seats, get comfortable. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Akiva Feinstein, and I have the honor today of officiating at this service. The purpose of our service today is to bid farewell, to say goodbye, to say thank you to someone who was very special, very beloved, very dear to all of us. I feel that as a rabbi, it was a real honor to be able to be here today. I knew her husband, I knew other family members, her sister. I feel very much part of the Modorsky Joseph family as a rabbi. Over the years, I saw Dylene in many different ways, and it showed a tremendous strength that she had. She had an inner drive, she had a passion for things that were important to her, a great desire and love and dedication to her family, and she didn't give up. She wasn't a quitter. She was a truly tough lady. And while she fought the things she had to fight in life, she did so with so much style and so much grace and so much elegance. She was a true lady with poise and beauty and sophistication. I know that her loss is a difficult loss to her family, to her husband of blessed memory, to her children, to her grandchildren, and to the whole extended family on both sides. My condolences and my sympathies to all of you. One of the things that warmed her heart and brought her spirit out was music. She loved music. So we felt it would be a nice thing to bring and share today Cantor Gary Paller, who's one of the cantors I work with at Menorah Park, and he will sing for you now the 23rd Psalm.
Adonai roi lo echsar binot deshayar bitzeni al menuchot נפשי ישובב ינחני ומגלי צדק ינחני ומגלי צדק למען שמו גם כי אלך בגט צלמוות לא ירא רק יראתה עמדי שבטך ומשענתך ema enachamoni. Taruch lefanai, lefanai, shulchan neged zorerai, dishanta vashemen roshi kosi revaya. Ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni kol yemei chayai, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti beveit Adonai leorech yamim. Adonai roi lo echsar. Adonai roi
Psalm of David. God is my shepherd, I shall not lack. In lush meadows he lays me down. Beside tranquil waters he leads me. He restores my soul. He leads me on paths of justice for his name's sake. Though I walk in the valley overshadowed by death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in view of my torments. You anointed my head with oil, my cup overflows. May only goodness and kindness pursue me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord for many long days. It's also an important Jewish custom that we recite at this time what is known as the Eshet Chayil, the woman of valor. It's a selection from the book of Proverbs, and it writes special praises of the woman of the household. And this particular section, it goes in the order of the alphabet, the Aleph Beit. And it's a long Jewish custom that often at the Friday night table, after a difficult week of work and working on behalf of the family and helping, the husband and the children sing this as a song of praise to the mother. And also, fitting along with the same theme, it's also something we say at a person's funeral with a similar effect, a sense of appreciation and gratitude. Eishes chayil miyimso, v'rachot mipnini michra, b'atach ba'alev bala, v'shelo lo'ixar, v'malsu tov v'lora, kol yemei chayecha, darsher tzemru fishtim, v'tas v'chapetz kapecha, haisa kaniyav socher, mimerchak tabi lachma, v'takem ba'od laila, v'tinteref la'vesa l'chok narusecha, zamama sadeh v'tikachechu, v'pri kapecha natukarim, hagra ba'oz masnecha, v'tametz rosecha, tama ki tov zachara, lo yechbe v'laila neira, yadecha shilcha v'kishor, v'kapecha tamchu faleh, kappa parsa liani, uveyadecha shilcha li'evyon, lo sirim besa mishalek, ki kol besa levush shanim, marvadim asisala, sheish l'argban levusha, noda v'sharim bala, v'shifto im zikne aretz, sadim asisa v'timkor, v'chagar nasnu knani, oz v'hadar levusha, v'tis chok liyam acharon, picha pachsa v'hachma, v'soyres chesed al l'shayna, Sophia halicha ispesa, v'lechem atzlus lo sochel, kamu v'necha v'yashura, v'ala v'hala, rabos banas hasochayil, v'yatalis al kulana, sheker chen v'hevel hayofi, isha yiras adinoi, hi tisalel, tenula mipri yadecha, v'halucha v'sharim ma'asecha. An accomplished woman who can find, far beyond pearls is her value. Her husband's heart relies on her, and he shall lack no fortune. She repays his good, but never his harm, all the days of her life. She's like a merchant ship, from afar she brings sustenance. She envisions a field and buys it. From the fruit of her handiwork, she plants a vineyard. With strength she girds her loins and invigorates her arms. She spreads out her palm to the poor and extends her hands to the destitute. She fears not snow, for her household, her entire household, is clothed with scarlet wool. Strength and majesty are her raiment. She joyfully awaits the last day. She opens her mouth with wisdom, and a lesson of kindness is on her tongue. She anticipates the ways of her household, and partakes not of the bread of laziness. Many children arise and praise her. Her husband he lauds her. Many daughters have amassed achievement, but you have surpassed them all. False is grace, and vain is beauty. A God-fearing woman, she should be praised. Give her the fruits of her hands, and let her be praised in the gates by her very own deeds. As we know, it's a very important custom at the Jewish funeral service to say the eulogies. We believe it's such an important custom because, for one, we feel that the person who we are honoring, our beloved Dylene, is listening. Her soul, her spirit is with us, and she hears these words. These words give her a sense of accomplishment and a feeling that I worked really hard in this world, and it was all worth it because people will remember me and people will notice. It's also important because it's an encouragement, it's an education to the people she leaves behind, to keep up in this great tradition that she started. And as such, it's important that all the memories, all the ideas, all the experiences of the whole family are shared. And collectively, all of us together, these words and these stories are her praise, are her eulogy. So, having the opportunity to speak to her children, her grandchildren, I put together a few of these ideas and thoughts to come up with a summary of a life of a lady that was just so big that we can only do it partial justice and condensing it to just a few minutes. Our beloved Dylene Joseph nee Modorsky, she was the daughter of immigrant parents, her mother Regina from Poland, her father Julian from Russia. It was a smaller family, but it was a warm and a close family. She was especially close to her twin sister, as we all know, Dolores. From day one, the name that the family gave to her speaks of one of the most important things in the way that they raised her. They raised her with a deep appreciation and respect for American democratic traditions. And I think, as we all know, she was called Dylene in honor of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, one of their favorite presidents. She came from a great family, the Modorsky family, with a lot of children and a lot of roots and a lot of good things that they did here in the Cleveland community. And she is the last of the elder Modorskys, the last of that generation, which was so special. She was a good daughter, a good person. She had a close relationship with her father. They really understood each other and saw eye to eye on many things. And she was a caregiver for him at the time of his illness. It's not necessary to explain or say how close she was to her sister. I think that's something that everyone knows. Not only were they twins with almost exact appearances, but they did everything together. They dressed the same way, they talked the same way, they had the same friends, they went to the same places. But I guess almost miraculously, they had slightly different singing voices so that they could actually complement one another. They grew up in the city of Cleveland, and then moving on to the suburbs a little bit later during her high school career. And she graduated from Cleveland Heights High School during its great years, some very special years at that school, at the day that she went. She then went on to OU, and she met her dear husband, Albert. They were quite a romantic, really for each other couple. He would send her love letters and flower her with gifts, and she loved it. You can imagine how it made her feel inside to get these notes of his affection. They married soon after school, and they shared a lot of things together. They shared raising a family, creating 3 beautiful children, and they worked together in the business. His creativity and his writing and all the work in his company, she helped out with. She was a vice president for a time in his work. And just before his passing, they had celebrated their 59th anniversary. There were 2 people who knew each other's every move. They knew each other very deeply, having known each other for more than 60 years. Quite amazing. And they kept up that spark. They always had their date nights. Saturday nights was always a night for going out on the town, getting dressed up, going somewhere nice, and being together with one another. They traveled the whole world together, not just the touristy places, but often getting off the beaten path. Going to China in the early days when it wasn't exactly a tourist place, and bringing home special gifts. That was one of the greatest joys of the traveling, is is that they would find special things for the children and the grandchildren to share from their travels. Dylene was there for him in the good times and the tough times. When he had medical issues, when he had a hard time, when I know he was in Montefiore, I don't think you could get a better advocate than Dylene. She was tough. She was on top of things. You know, sometimes at Montefiore we trembled a little bit when she was coming our way because we were worried we did something wrong. But at the same time, we knew that it was out of a great love. You know, that she would do anything she could to make sure that everything was right in her husband's life. And she really praised him, and she really said good things about him. And I remember I wrote down for his eulogy that she admired him so much, and she said simply that her gentleman was such a gentle man. And that's how she summed up the respect for her husband. They raised their kids in Shaker Heights, and I understand that it was to have more diversity, to learn about the world, to be more exposed to different kinds of people and different kinds of things. Much of her life was enjoying people. As we can't say enough, spending time with her sister, Jack's Deli, going around town, enjoying themselves. She loved entertaining, loving having people over. Any excuse to put her heels on, to get dressed up, to get out of the house was something she greatly welcomed. She was a person who had a real eye to aesthetics. She had an eye for things that were beautiful, whether it was clothing, whether it was art, whether it was other things. And as we all know, she spent a great deal of time in her own home, making it a special place. And she never liked it. She would always get it the way she liked it, think it was nice, and then do it all over again, almost on a regular basis. We alluded to the fact already that she was a singer, that she loved her voice. Though she was shy sometimes, she loved to sing also in front of people. She was part of a choir. She was a soloist. She was part of this famous Mothers Singers? Yeah, Mother Singers group, where they went around to nursing homes and put on, concerts all over town. And like I said before, they were a magic match. One a soprano, Dylene, and her sister, an alto. So she was a righteous lady, a good person, but there's nothing wrong with being righteous and loving shopping. So she loved her shopping. She loved to go around to the malls and see what was in fashion, see what was in style, getting her nails painted. You would never see her in tennis shoes. Well, when she turned 80 years old, she permitted herself such a luxury of a tennis shoe wearing once in a while. She was clean, she was meticulous. Her house never had a speck of dust in it because she was always going over it again and again before there was chance for any dust to settle. She loved her children and her grandchildren so much, and she showed the love for them in many different ways. One of the ways she showed it was buying them gifts. She loved to buy birthday presents and loved to spoil them. She loved to say everything about them, and that she gave them was darling. That darling was one of her favorite words to describe a lot of things. She was just so proud, always quelling about her grandchildren. The grandchildren all shared very similar memories about the Sundays, in the house in Shaker Heights, the delicious food. At times she had the tuna casserole with peas, which was kind of plain, but other times she made really delicious Jewish treats, brisket and chicken soup, and she made what everyone enjoyed so much. It was a time to be in the garden. It was a time to talk a lot of politics, a time to be together as a family. And she obviously sounded like a very cool grandmother, because when you had time to go out with her, she had her white Buick with maroon seats, and it smelled like mint, and she was really dressed up, and she took you to a fancy place, and you felt like very important people in that situation. And I'm sure she loved the ability to bestow that upon her children. As much as she could have a good time with you, and take you to a good meal, and spoil you, there's a side to her that she could really relate, and she could understand the people in her life. She was a lady who could understand younger people. And Greg in particular said that when you wanted a private conversation, when you wanted to share something that was important, you needed some advice, you would go to her. And it wasn't just when she was around, she was nearby, I'll ask her a question, that, you would drive to her house and say, Grandma, I got something to talk to you about. I got something on my mind that I want to share with you. And she would listen, and she would help you to work it out. And you felt that you could trust her, that your secrets and your concerns were safe with her. And when you were younger, you got to sleep over and have a great time in her house. All kinds of restaurants that you guys liked, she would take you to, the Imperial Wok and Chinese food, the Dairy Queen, and all kinds of things. She had a lot of compassion for things that had more than two legs. She loved her animals, and she had a real soft spot in her heart for the animals. And I think Paul rattled off every single animal that she had okayed in the house at some time, and each one seems more unbelievable than the next. So I normally wouldn't include this in her eulogy, but it says a lot about her. She was okay with salamanders and frogs. She allowed 5 litters of mice until they ate each other. She allowed snakes. And one time when, I don't know if it was her or someone else, stepped on a bee, she felt so bad for the bee that she had harmed it, that she had to apologize to the bee that would happen. And so that's why, if people are so inclined, if they want to leave a donation in her merit, she mentioned the Giaga Animal Shelter. As I can only mention, many times, she loved her family. She loved seeing you guys all together. She loved keeping you together with food and giving you all the treats that you enjoyed. Sweet potatoes and marshmallows and all the delicious goodies that everyone loved. These last few years for her were difficult. Obviously her life with her husband was special. He gave her that specialness that she really needed. And it was hard not having that. But she kept her head held up high. She kept her dignity, her strength, and her independence as much as she could. She was there for her sister, and she was there for her family as much as possible. So we will truly miss her. Such a strong lady, such a lady who cared for us and watched out for us with a real enthusiasm and a love of life. An ability to just walk down the street very proudly and look good and be happy for who she is. The end of the Modorskis, the last line of this family, like I said before, from a special, very special generation. Right now we find ourselves at a special time in the calendar just before Passover. And, the time of Passover is really a time of renewing ourselves. It's a spiritual renewal, it's a physical renewal. We're hopefully coming out of COVID, we're hopefully coming out of the cold weather. We're moving into a time of newness and difference and new opportunities. So it's no surprise that we are here to honor her on this special time. I'm sure her spirit is, you never give up. You never look too much into the past. You just look forward into the future. You got to be strong, and you got to sprout up again like the grass in the ground. It gets smushed down, it gets muddy, it gets stepped on, but it's ready to come back once again faithfully in the spring. So I'm sure she'd want to bless her whole family with that same sense of springfulness, of newness, of rebirth, of starting all over again, of good health, and a blessing for a good year and good times going forward. So we hope we honored her sufficiently, and we shared things that she worked hard for and that she believed in. And we'll always remember her, and we'll always pray together that her memory eternally should always be for a blessing. She should always look upon her family and grant peace and happiness and connectedness for all of us. So now as we move on from the eulogy portion, we are going to participate in one of the most important mitzvahs of the day, which is the physical placing of the earth. The involvement that each of us has in making sure that her burial is according to the Jewish tradition. It's not easy to put the earth on, it's not easy to hold the shovel at a time, but we should really think of it as we're enveloping her, we're surrounding her with our love and our kindness, and we'd only want her to be honored and to be taken care of safely. So at this time we're going to now pause for a moment. We're going to go ahead and lower the casket, and after the casket is lowered, we'll ask the immediate family to put a little bit of earth on top of the casket. Then we'll cover the casket with the comfy cover, and then everyone will participate, and we will line up on either side here and take a shovel and put in a shovel full, and then we will be completing the service after that. invite now the family to come forward, perhaps the children and the grandchildren and spouses. And we've got shovel on that side, shovel on this side, and we place the small one on earth. And after we've done so, we place the shovel back, and then that's what we do the same thing. Yeah, sorry. Go ahead, guys. invite everyone to take part in the special mitzvah. We have a shovel on this side and then a shovel on the other side. So if people just wanted to line up here and then line up there, place a small shovel over our food as we get started. Yeah, we just have to watch our step up here with the wheel. It's not as common to sing a special song at this point, but the cantor and I were working out what would be a nice song as a tribute to her. What would she enjoy? What might she sing with us at this time? And we chose the song What I Did for Love, which is a famous song that comes from a chorus line.
Kiss today goodbye, the sweetness and the sorrow. Wish me luck the same to you, but I can't regret what I did for love, what I did for love. Look, my eyes are dry. The gift was ours to borrow. It's as if we always knew. And I won't forget what I did for love, what I did for love. Gone, love is never gone, as we travel on. Kiss today goodbye, and point me toward tomorrow. We did what we had to do. Won't forget, can't regret what I did for love. Love is never gone as we travel on. Love's what we'll remember. Kiss today goodbye, and point me toward tomorrow. We did what we had to do. Won't forget, can't regret what I did for love. What I did for love. What I did for love.
Thank you so much, Cantor. As we conclude the service, we now recite the memorial prayer. The theme of the prayer is that God watches over those people we have lost, the people who are dear to us. We've taken on as much as we could in this world to watch over them and care for them, and now we entrust this special mission, this special purpose to God, to be close and to watch over, and to be near our beloved Dylene Joseph. At this time, we're going to say the memorial prayer, the special Kel Mali Rachami prayer, and in the conclusion of that prayer, the family together as a unit will recite the Mourners' Kaddish.
שוכן במרומים, המצא מנוחה נכונה, תחת כנפי השכינה, במעלות קדושים וטהורים, כזוהר הרקיע מזהירים לנשמת דיילין ג'וסף, שלך לעולמה, בגן עדן תהי מנוחתה. אנא בעל הרחמים, אז תראה בסתר כנפיך לעולמים, וצרור בצרור החיים את נשמתה. אדוני הוא נחלתה ותנוח בשלום, בשלום.
God exalted and full of compassion, grant perfect peace in your sheltering presence among the holy and the pure to the soul of Dylene Joseph, who has gone to her eternal home. Master of mercy, we beseech you, remember all the worthy and the righteous deeds that she performed in the land of the living. May her soul be bound up in the bonds of eternal life. God is her portion. May she rest in peace. And we say together, Amen. So at this moment, we get hold of our Kaddish cards, and we begin the first the mitzvah that we have as mourners. And the Kaddish's purpose is to praise God and mention God's goodness at a time where it seems like it's not so good, where it's hard and difficult and challenging. And the tradition is that to hold up our faith and trust in the world, trust in God, and trust in what happens is a great merit for the person who's passed away, something that gives an uplift to their soul. So now we begin the Kaddish together. We'll recite it slow, word for word.
Gadal v'yitkadash Shemei Rabbah V'yamad divrach Yotei V'yamlich Malchutei V'chayechon V'yomechon V'chayei B'chol Beit Yisrael V'yagala V'izman Kariv V'yimru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevarach Le'olam Omei Omaya Yitvarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yithaleh v'yithalal Shmei Dekudisha B'richu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata yamiran b'yama v'yimru Amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba min Shemaya V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen. Yoseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru Amen.
Yoseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu Ve'al kol Yisrael Imru Amen. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al kol Yisrael Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu Ve'al kol Yisrael.
Just as we take leave of the service, we have one last custom, one last opportunity, and that is the opportunity of the comforting of the mourners. And so those of us who are not the mourners, we turn to you, we turn to each other as mourners, and we say, Hamakom Yinachem Eschem B'Sakshar Eveli Tzion V'Yerushalayim. We say to one another, I say to you, may God comfort you and can guide you and protect you among all the mourners of Zion and Jerusalem. God should bless your family and give you strength and give you peace, and that mother's memory should always be for a blessing. Thank you.